Hello, everybody. The name is Lumberlair Jr., and I am here with Mr. Damiano Cortini.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure to say it properly, but you guys know him better as Evolve, Morph, Future. But we gotta do a bit of dissecting of that. Take the E from that, take out the more, take out maybe an F in there. You know what? Let's add an I and K in there, and what do you get? You get Emorfik. Yes, we're talking about the guy who had his first time ever in Lost Lands, Emorfik. The summoning of the Caverns owned by sudden death, Emorfik. The Space Yacht, Cyclops Recordings, Bad Kids, Emorfik. I have to say this right here, right now. Thank you so much for your incredible music and your incredible journey. I know it has not been easy. It's been a long time coming, going through so many different names. You know, Bag, Curse You Phone Company, The Guy.
Yes.
Yeah, curse that copyright. And now we enter into this. So I already know how, Emorfik already came to be. But I know there's definitely more of a, if I'm not mistaken, there is more of a meaning to what Emorfik is. If you want to maybe exemplify on what Emorfik truly is and what it's about.
So kind of like what you said in the beginning with the evolve and the morphing in the future. It's kind of like when I lost my last name, it was kind of like a time where I was, very upset about losing that name. And the name is kind of like a term to, kind of describe the transition from being a point of like, sadness, I was sad about losing the name, confusion, not knowing where to go next in life, to a place where you're, thriving and, successful. So it's kind of like a term to like represent success and, happiness.
Right. Which is kind of a pretty amazing, like, meaningful thing to say about your name, because, the success you're beginning so far, the accomplishments you're beginning so far, has been quite incredible, to say the least. Absolutely. Again, like I said before, I already mentioned Lost Lands, I mentioned something of the Caverns. Those are like two big moments that I know really was is currently a huge highlight in your career. How did it feel to be brought into like festivals as big as that?
Oh,
did you feel the pressure? Was it like?
I felt every wheel of emotion going into especially Lost Lands. Excitement, of course, but just the overpower feeling of nervousness. Pressure. Making sure that I'm not talking too much to people. I'm not, being weird. Like it was just like, it's like a high school. Like when I went to Lost Lands, you just walk in and like everyone's there, and you have to act normal. And it's like going into a situation.
But
like
you're
that.
not normal. Does normal really exist even in high school? So
exactly.
Was the energy kind of almost like when you step on that stage? It's like, oh, you see. Okay, so maybe I was playing this way. It's almost like people saying like, "Oh, are they gonna like me? Are they gonna really appreciate my work?"
Especially because I've never been in some like a position like that. I've met numerous DJs over the years, but like Lost Lands was kind of like that like peak moment of like, oh my god, like I'm about to meet literally everyone who I've dreamt to meet in one place, and it was a very surreal moment. And I had a conversation with pretty much everyone on that lineup, and it was super fun, super fun.
Well, for someone as incredible as Excision to notice you and bring you on the lineup, that is like an accomplishment enough. So I feel like if he sees something incredible in you, then I feel like everyone in Lost Lands, especially out there in the field, out there on the rail, is going to absolutely adore you and what you're doing, what you're creating. So I had no doubts that someone like you was going to reach to that type of level. It definitely is such a surreal experience for any artist. So, I have to ask, was it really just as surreal as being called by sudden death to be in the Caverns?
Oh my god, that was pretty much like, I remember when I first got the news that I was on it, and I was like, oh my god, like I tend to notice that like once things kind of like are happening, then that's when it really hits me. Like Lost Lands, when I first got the news, like I was shocked, but when I was there, it was like a feeling of like, wow, like, it was, when I went to the summoning with my manager, my mother, and like, we were having a fun time, but then when we actually got there, I'm just like, wow, like I'm really here doing this, especially when I was in the cave and like the environment, it was like so like shocking, and like, to be able to have, the conversations with Sudden Death himself was such a, honor, and, to be able to basically just hang out with him and speak with him was just such a crazy, awesome experience.
So I have a feeling with this Emorfik project and already so many incredible things already happening, it makes me wonder, like, I mean, all of it surreal, like Lost Land surreal, something of the Caverns surreal. Could we say maybe the next moment could possibly be you maybe doing a little something with Skrillex? I mean, I know how much a big of inspiration he was in your musicality, so
that would be, I mean, I don't even know how I would react if something like that were to come. That would be insane. I feel like every artist, whether what genre you might be in EDM, has like some relation to Skrillex, because I feel like he brought up something that like the dubstep community when it was nothing. I mean, obviously there's other artists, like he just got it to that level, and of course there's other artists that have got it to. But for me, he got me to the point where I want to be, in this field. So
has there ever been like a few songs from him that really inspired you, or really like made you think that made you get that feeling of like, this is what I want to do?
Yep, this whole album, the All Is Fair in Love and Bro Step, that whole album was
the recent album.
Yep.
That one, really?
Yep.
So we gotta give some props to Zomboy too, since he also kind of inspired that song.
I love Zomboy.
Any others, or is that the only one?
Virtual Riot for sure. Virtual Riot is a huge. I used to, like hearing his sound design coming up when I was like 15, 16, 17 was like unreal, and like I would be constantly just like inspired off him, and wanting to create that level of sound, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Understood. So we're talking like almost like we're talking more about like his gritty type of music, like in the past, or more of his like more like focus more on sound design, and still having that grayness to it. Like we're talking like simulation.
Yeah, I feel like what I enjoyed from him the most was his his ability to make such loud, harsh sounds, but at the same time make it so clean and crisp to where it's like it sounds like
maybe melodic.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like he can make like a the bass stab sound so clean and beautiful, and it's like just to have that level of just like knowledge and like skill is something that I strive to.
That's amazing to hear. And can you say, are there any like certain like works in your discography that, let's just say, I mean, all of them, let's just be honest, a lot of them are absolutely freaking incredible. I've been a fan of a lot of them, particularly the song What Was That? That house banger absolutely blew me the freak away. And of course you have the Angry EP, you have Bad Kids, and you also have Vicious Tendencies, you have Violence. But I think the one song that people keep talking about over and over again, this I don't understand why, well I kind of understand why, is freaking Time. Because that's the one that blew up on the TikTok. Yes. I hate talking about the TikTok, but it's in our vicinity, it's in our mainstream. Thanks TikTok for once helping this man here. How did it feel to make that song and have so many people hear it, listen to it, and it blowing up?
I remember the first time I ever had a viral sense on TikTok was when I first started. I kind of just did set up the camera and I just kind of acted like myself and
and went in the hot tub.
Yeah, and did that stuff like that. I remember I got my first 30,000 views, but when I posted Time, I didn't really think too much of Time because it was just something that I kind of just thought of in the moment, and I just made it. It was just one of those in my head, just one of those just rhythm songs. Just simple flow, simple patterns, simple everything, but the vocal is what I feel really resonated with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched a lot of duets and a lot of people who use that sound, use it when they're working out progress, and to see it, just jump from 100 views to the next morning 600,000 views was something that I cannot describe the level of shock that I felt that morning. I remember actually hopping in a phone call with my manager, and we were just watching it 1,000 views every minute, and it was just ridiculous. It was crazy. So.
It definitely is, but also there is something else that I feel not really many people are noticing. I don't believe people are noticing in your musicality is this. It seems like in a lot of your recent songs, especially in the year 2022, you like to add a bit of a message in some of your songs. Yes. If people are willing to, you know, listen to the end. I don't know if you put the whole song on TikTok, but if you actually listen to the end, you can actually hear some pretty empowering words. Yeah. But what are there, I mean, we hear it in Time, we hear it in Fear, we hear it in Vicious Tendencies, and we recently hear it in your recent song Violence. Like, where did that come from? Where you want to, like, you know, impart some, like, you know, wisdom in your dubstep?
You know, I've heard a number of, like, songs, you know, like, you know, I remember watching, you know, just streams in 2022, you know, and I'd hear just, you know, people talking in songs, and I, you know, always wanted to kind of, like, try to figure out how to have, like, you know, a powerful ending to a song, because, you know, sometimes I feel like songs, you know, so focused on the drop, it's like that's the main thing that everyone cares about. But, you know, I feel like focusing on, you know, just giving everything as much love as the drop will make a song sound that much more powerful. And it's like when I decided to start doing these little messages, you know, I didn't really have like a clear direction. You know, it was mainly just to kind of like reflect some branding. You know, with I think the first one I may have done it was Mad. Yep, that was the first time I ever did it, and like just to kind of like represent a, you know, branding aspect. But now it's kind of like with, you know, let's say Time, you know, I kind of wanted to relay a message to people, because, you know, time is limited, so why not kind of like, as the listener, you know, gets to the end of the song, just give them a nice message to like remind them of, you know, time is limited. Or, you know, with Violence, you know, kind of just like, you know, I feel like a lot of people, you know, can be very angry in this world, and like with dubstep and shows, I feel like a lot of that tension is released and stuff. You know, when people listen to these songs, I feel like, you know, emotions are released, and, you know, the message is just kind of like conveying that whole all-around message, if that makes sense.
It definitely does make sense, because we see the type of emotions, like, you know, in the crowd, we see it in the mosh pit sometimes, and so this kind of segues into a certain mantra that is now being yelled out by a lot of your fans, or should you say your tribe, which is angry shit only.
Sorry.
So here's the thing, though, when we talk about the angry shit, when we talk about like the angry music, I want to put you on the spot here. What advice could you give when it comes to, like, you know, someone being like, you know, feeling angry? Because we see angry as like a negative emotion, but it seems like in your music you try and find a way to make it seem appealing, to make it seem more positive, which is kind of a contradiction, because being angry is never really that good. I mean, it's destructive. It seems like it's like all over the place. It's too much emotion for someone to handle alone. If someone's angry in a certain room like what we're in right now, you would see these people walk out the door because they don't want to be around the anger. But what is about the feeling of anger that like appeals to you so?
So I feel like, you know, like anger is like, you know, not just one emotion. You know, I've noticed that, like, you know, in life you can be very upset in many ways. You know, angry being, you know, like you want to break something. You're sad, you know, when you're done.
Or maybe punch a pillow.
Yeah, punch a pillow. You know, you're. I just tend to notice that, like, you know, anger is something that kind of like is a all around emotion, because I've noticed, like, you know, stages of something really crazy happening, you get really sad, angry, you know, or anything in the kind of middle. And it's like, you know, I feel like with, you know, everything going on in the world, it can definitely make us feel some type of way. And it's like, you know, with my music, I hope that it can at least, you know, relieve some of that tension, because, you know, I've had people come up to me who said, you know, the very upsetting things to me. You know, they've gone through things, and, you know, the music that has been played throughout the night that of, like, let's say one of my shows, or even any other artist in this whole community, is that it's helped kind of relieve some of that pain that people have been through. And it's like, with, yes, of course, anger is genuinely a more negative thing, but like when it comes to, like, you know, the song or a show, I feel like the presence of like that anger can be like released throughout the night, if that makes sense.
Understood. So are there any like certain, let's say, songs that like that people can say I was like very angry, but it makes you feel like relieved? Like, let's say for someone like me, I'll say, for example, a song that I always play that, like, whenever I feel like no anger, I feel like I'm in my emotions. A song that I will play, I gotta give my love to good old Songboy, man. I mean, the songs like Battlefields, Archangel, Skull and Bones, even something like Get With the Program. I feel like are songs that like I play and listen to whenever I get my emotions, and it's like I always imagine like a battle scene in my mind, and it always like it's like a way like relieving my anger eternally, because I'm not a person who likes to like let it out. That's not who I am. I'm a person like who battles it up a bit, but like it's that mental relief that mental relief like in those certain songs, and those are kind of songs like really help me out too. So is there any songs like you listen to yourself that like helps that you get that relief of anger?
I feel like definitely like anything Murata for sure.
Anything from Murata.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I was gonna, this might be a very stupid question, but what is about Murata that helps you relieve that anger?
I just feel like, I don't know, the things, I've seen definitely a number of Murata sets, and like, it is just complete carnage. I've seen him a number of times. We went to a Buffalo show with him, and it was carnage. Like, it was insane. Like, I've never seen people react and act this certain way to music, and like, I feel like he's just like, a good person to listen to if you're trying to relieve some stress.
Or anger.
Oh, yes, of course.
That's it, yep. So, to Zomboy and to Murata, we truly appreciate you so much for all of your incredible work you've done, all your angry music that you've made in your years, from Malignant Music to Rotten Roll Records. We truly appreciate you so freaking much. We both truly, truly do. Now, I have to get to this now, which is I'm very curious. Since you mentioned Murata, you mentioned, well, first off, let me ask this question first. So you mentioned Skrill is your big inspiration, like to get you that got you into the scene, that got you wanting to make what you want to make. Who are the people that currently right now who's inspiring you and is like your music you're listening to nowadays?
I think definitely like Murata, Sudden Death, of course, and Subtronics. Those three have really like helped me kind of like, even Sullivan King too. They have helped me, kind of like. Even after having conversations with them, it's like more of on like a personal standpoint now. It's not even just the music anymore. It's just like the advice that they were, giving me, and just kind of like conversations we had. It made me really feel very like wholesome, like just welcomed to like be inspired off that. Like I feel very inspired off them just based on their like energy towards that they have towards smart artists like myself. So.
Well, that is definitely amazing, but I was speaking more of the smaller artists now that you're listening to. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, definitely there's so many.
So let me rephrase that. Any like smaller artists out there that you're listening to that you want to maybe shout out? I mean, someone like Gorilla T.
Gorilla T, Kill Phil in the house. Deviate is a great one. There's just so many. I'd have to honestly look at my SoundCloud. There's too many.
I mean, you can go ahead if you want to.
Future Exit is a great one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Future Exit.
Blaze is a great one.
Blaze as well. Who you work with as well in the song, I think, Drop It in Space Yacht?
It was Hold Up. That was
Hold Up, yeah. Not Drop It, Hold Up. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Blaze.
There's tons, honestly, that, I definitely don't feel bad, because as soon as this interview is over, then I'll name off 100, but there's so many that are so amazing.
Well, keep it rolling when that moment comes.
Yeah, of course.
And so those are a few that popped in your mind. But now, with those certain artists that you mentioned, and also the big artists you mentioned too, you mentioned Murata, the Toronto Living King, and Sudden Death. Are there any artists that you wish you could maybe make a collab with?
Oh, absolutely. For those four would be a dream one day.
I mean, well, you did have the song "Bad Kids" in Cyclops Recordings. That is in the compilation album Planet Cyclops. So. I would hope that Subtronics was like,
I would be completely honored. I've had the chance to see a lot of his workflow, and I love to see his, experimentation towards sound designing. Very, like, it's awesome. Like, to see his, thought process. It's just amazing. So
that would be incredible to hear. Jesse, I'll make sure I send it to you. Please, please, please. You brought something incredible in your Cyclops Recordings family, and he has so much more to give. He's so much more to like create and do. I mean, oh my God, please, any one of those artists, please bring this guy up. But also leads me to this question too: what is next for Emorfik? I mean, here's the thing. I mean, we talk about Lost Lands, talk about something in the Caverns, talk about Cyclops Recordings and Space Yachts. I mean, is there any? I mean, people always like say no, there's nowhere to go but up. But what's what's up there, what's next.
There is, can't be disclosed unfortunately, but there is.
If it's disclosed, then okay, then maybe say like a tiny bit, like hint us, but don't say too much.
Just very, next year is going to be, it's going to be very hard, but we're going to top this year by a long shot. The plans that we have are amazing. We're building teams, and to be able to say that is such an honor, and that's the pretty much only thing I can say so far. But
maybe a documentary,
and that's another plan for the end of this year, actually. So,
which I have asked if I could be the narrator for.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I want to definitely get a part, that would be great to interview you part of that.
I'd be more than happy to just be the host of it, or at least just be the voice in the background talking about the events of Emorfik and how it began. That would be incredible. I'd be more than happy to do that because I'm a person who, again, loves to support the little guys out there and really let people know these are artists that are ones to watch or ones to see or ones to hear, and you are definitely no exception to that. So to imagine you either doing a documentary or making your own story or lore regarding this project of Emorfik would be absolutely amazing, and I'd be more than happy to be a part of that. You got my vouch in that.
Absolutely, yeah, I'll definitely reach out to you if I, of course, need it. So.
Do not forget me. Don't forget me. Never. But again, Emorfik, I truly, truly do appreciate you. And also, I gotta give a quick shout out to a certain someone. I'm gonna get out the frame for this. Jhon! Jhon!
This is the guy right here.
Get in there, Jhon. I also want to tell you thank you so much for all your incredible work. And I have one question to ask you. How did you come up to find this incredible gem of a human being here and bring him into Gridlock Management, which he happens to be the founder of? Go take it away.
We linked up.
It was
prior to that, how we met.
Oh, so I can kind of give it. So, I recently got out of other management, and I was, of course, looking for new direction. I was reaching out to see, Blaze was, of course, part of Gridlock Management, and I've heard, many great things about them. And I originally was talking to this other manager, Kevin. He's on this team as well. Mm-hmm. And I remember being in the phone call with him, and originally I was like, okay, it's actually really funny. But I was gonna wanting to talk to the other one, but I would never replace this guy with anyone ever. So. It's actually pretty funny how it came out, and then we got to meet at Lost Lands, and just ever since then, we've been pretty much doing business since last October.
So were you there to was he there to help out with the Phase 2 tour, the 35?
Everything.
I think since the Angry Shit Only one, which is the first few dates that he was touring off of last year, the end of last year.
Yep. So I remember because we first when we first started this, I was very hesitant on starting a tour, and we got enough shows to work where we can actually have a tour, and we started it, and as soon as come around May when I introduced the whole straight jacket get up, it just everything started to really take off when it comes to tour, if that makes I like the whole idea with a tour and stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, to you, Jhon, we truly, truly, truly appreciate you and for really helping him out and giving him not only just the 35 city Phase 2 tour, and now we have another tour going on, pretty much finishing off in end 2022 to 2023. I can hardly wait to see the power of Emorfik just bless each and every city as much as it possibly can. And again, the sky's the limit for you. I mean, you already hit such incredible accomplishments. Like you said, that's the power of Emorfik, just success, accomplishments, and just rising to get better and better and better. Someone like you, I can already see amazing things from you. Marava sees it, Subtronic sees it, Sudden Depth sees it, Excision sees it, I see it, you see it too, Kill Phil. Everyone sees it. So thank you so much for blessing us with your information, blessing us with your power and your incredible presence. And I can only hope and pray, seriously, hope and pray that I can witness that one day, hopefully tonight, if the fates allow. But thank you guys so much for watching. We truly appreciate you so much. This is Lemon Jr., Jhon, Emorfik signing out. Kill Phil, we love you so much. Peace.